Hey everyone. So I gave my review on Maths Paper 1 when it released, and then forgot to make one of Maths Paper 2 Physics, and now that it's released, the Applied Maths paper. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be running through faults of Maths Paper 2. That happened on the 10th of June. So it started off usually the same with your concepts and skills, and then concepts and applications, sometimes just nicknamed the short and the long questions. So the first question was actually a bit of a shock with introducing a stem and leaf for the first time in quite a while, and then asked a couple of questions about that. Part A double I was a bit of an interesting one. It did require a little bit of problem solving skills, and then some stuff about correlation. So really just kind of a copy paste, a rejig, if you want to say that, of past exam questions. So if you've done a good bit on statistics in the past couple of years, then you should be okay with that. Part two is expected value. Fairly standard question, and then some actually really unique questions on probability. I might just zoom in these. Yeah, some really unique questions about probability, just knowing your definitions of mutually exclusive, and then some other stuff here as well. Again, introducing a lot of sort of explain that questions. So you have to explain why E and F, or it's not reasonable to assume that they're independent. Part three, again, a bit of a nice question, really, combining some very nice trigonometry with a really unique geometry question where you'd have to break the parallelogram into two triangles, as was the strat that I've seen be used. And then there's another thing with the ambiguity of the sine rule. So, all fairly standard stuff. We were expecting construction to come up because one didn't come up last year. So, this one was a centroid. And then a theorem came up as well, Theorem 11. So some more stuff about the circle. The first two bits might have actually seemed a bit strange, but if you actually did the ordinary level exam papers, this is essentially a question, typical question that would come up from there. And then there's some more higher level stuff with a bit of thought related to this. There's about a million and one day ways to approach this question, so that was fairly okay. Some more coordinate geometry, just utilizing formulas again, very standard stuff. And then they chucked some probability into coordinate geometry. So that's that's definitely it's not a regular combination, but it is a really interesting combination. Now, question seven, start of the long questions. The inferential stats question did have a few weird curveballs in it, especially this part C. I've seen a bunch of different answers for this, so I'll just wait for the marking scheme to come up. And then part D was a standard hypothesis test. So overall, a fairly okay question. Question seven. Question eight was mostly area and volume. There was a bit of how can I say, sort of like critical thinking required for this. Although it did say in this part to blatantly use Pythagoras to help solve that question. And then there was some geometry stuff on similar triangles that when I saw it, I found a bit challenging to figure out. But working with this or trying to get this result sort of proves that you got the respiration. So that was fine. Uh, and then another thing they've been chucking into paper two is actually a lot of paper one stuff. So maximum volume would require um, either using inference on the formula or just setting the derivative to zero. Question nine was a bit of an oddball. Again, introducing coordinate geometry to the circle into a long question, which last year was the first time they did that. But now it seems to be a regular occurrence. So it's some fairly standard circle stuff. And then the shortest distance. Now, um, I think they give a hint on one of them on what to do. Um, this one was a fine question. Yeah, this was the one where you had to find the closest to the point. It literally gave you what to do. which I thought was a bit weird. They begin with a lot of hints, but I guess they want to learn from their mistakes of last year's paper. And then this one was sort of using some tricks with slope. So overall, a fine question. Question 10, a lot of this text doesn't actually matter. If you sort of treat this as just like a regular geometry problem with no context, you might have found it a bit easier. Just again, some standard stuff here. Um, Again, they blatantly tell you what to do. Use the cosine rule for something. And then they throw in some bit of combinations at the end, which is sort of a similar theme. They last year they did geometry followed by combinations. So it was a really unique question actually. And that's it. So that's the whole of maths paper two. It was actually on similar difficulty to paper one. We were expecting that because paper one was so nice, paper two would be, or we were expecting paper two to not be very nice, but it actually ended up being fairly okay. So I'm quite happy with it personally. And that's it.